At the Institute of Applied Metatheory, which we founded a couple of years ago, one of the things that we talk about is the architecture of that complexity of knowledge. So the idea that a lot of our knowledge is coming from a disciplinary point of view, and what people think of as knowledge is largely disciplinary, right? We've got economics, we've got psychology, we've got sociology, we've got, anthropology, we have computer science, et cetera, right? So what most people think of as the human knowledge canon is fundamentally disciplinary. It's in these silos. That's not wrong, of course. That is where most of the knowledge has lived for a long time, especially since the birth of the university system, the modern university system 400 or 500 years ago. But over the last couple hundred years, we've also had a new emergent level of knowledge that has arisen that is interdisciplinary, where we start to combine fields and we start to notice the findings, the paradigms of one field, and we're able to cross it with paradigm of another field, and we're able to get new knowledge that's extraordinary, right? You cross psychology and economics, you get behavioral economics, and behavioral economics gives you a whole nother set of insights about human life and how we operate. Things you wouldn't have seen from psychology, things you wouldn't have seen from economics. You kind of have to cross them up to get these new forms of knowledge to arise. And of course, integralists, we have maps for this. And this gets to then the third form of emergent knowledge that is just in the last, arguably, depending on how you look at it, maybe century and a half, but really in the last 50 years has that emerged. And now this is no longer interdisciplinary, it is now transdisciplinary. Now this is an extraordinary and qualitatively fundamental up-leveling of how humans can know. Because with transdisciplinary knowledge, we now are able to see patterns that connect. We're now able to see a bigger picture where bigger holisms with more differentiated parts and the patterns that hold them together start to become clear. This is a radical and innovative break in the human knowledge arc. Because with transdisciplinary knowledge, we really can then start to go back and say, okay, how is our disciplinary knowledge partial? What is it assuming or not assuming? What is it presupposing? And why do small pictures act like big pictures? Well, small pictures act like big pictures when you grab a piece of the elephant at the level of disciplinary knowledge and you pretend that it's a big picture because you don't know that there actually are fundamentally far bigger pictures that are available. So in a lot of ways, the work is to socialize the idea of transdisciplinary knowledge and the several systems that have come along that are very credible, very powerful from that level of knowledge production. And that's the work we're doing at the Institute of Applied Metatheory across big picture systems like thoughtful integral metatheory, like dialectical critical realism or meta-reality, like complex thought and others. And this is not the place for it, but there actually is a fourth level that is emerging today called arc-disciplinary knowledge. And arc-disciplinary knowledge then begins to look at what is happening at the transdisciplinary level and tries to find the fundamental epistemological primitives of sort of the onto-epistemic occasions themselves. But that is for a different conversation. I think that if you notice, one of the problems we have in society is we're we get so in the weeds. I mean, think about your average PhD, right? It's so in the weeds on some vector of verification that big pictures themselves don't have any room to breathe anymore. And what the world is desperately in search of is actually big pictures, as we'll talk about. It's core to the meaning crisis that we're involved in. Is big pictures had been destroyed by positivism. They've been destroyed by postmodernism. They've been destroyed by the metaphysical rejection of post-Kantian constructivism. I mean, you go on, and you can see why big pictures just didn't stand a chance. And yet, we're at a time where we need them more than ever. And as I said, happily, we're at a time where they are emerging again in a credible sort of post-Kantian, post-postmodern, post-positivist way that they've already accounted for those critiques. So that's pretty sweet. We're living in a very, very lucky time in some ways, and a time of dramatic challenges as well.